Welcome back. We're marking World Autism Awareness Day here at the United Nations in New York. Dr. Jerry Kartzinel is a board-certified pediatrician specializing in autism. Suzanne and Bob Wright are the co-founders of Autism Speaks and the grandparents of a child with autism. We'll get back to our discussion. And Dr. Kartzinel, if I could ask you to give me some sort of evidence for people saying that the autism is reaching epidemic proportions. I know California has reported 273% increase in autism over a 10-year period recently. But when people talk about an epidemic, that's pretty severe.
Well, absolutely. An epidemic just basically states that there's more than you'd expect in the background. And when we talk about 1 in 150 children having autism, we have to also realize that it's mostly a disease of males. So if you take out the females that are diluting that 1 in 150, 1%. It actually becomes 1%, 1 in 90, 1 in 85, depending on what numbers you're looking at. And societies cannot withstand a 1% of their males not doing well.
All right. What is that reason? Because again, even in the documentary that Bob and Suzanne have produced, there's most of the cases are male. What is the reason for that? I've read there may be issues of testosterone, estrogen, and so on.
We don't know yet. We think that testosterone may make you more susceptible to toxins if you would go along with the theory that autism is a toxic event or multiple toxic events to the body, where estrogens are protective. They make the female more resilient to the effects of toxins, but we don't know yet.
And it's something that we talk about affecting children. No one really, that I've seen anywhere in the debate, talks about older people with autism.
Well, there are far fewer. I mean, if the early part of this whole thing was that, oh no, we don't have an increase in the numbers, we're just better recognizing these children. It's like we're any better recognizing a toothache than we were in 1960? No, I mean, these children stand out. Or reclassifying. These used to be mentally retarded children, but now we're calling them autism. Well, mentally retarded children don't flap, spin, up all night, doing self-injurious behaviors, hitting themselves in the head.
By the way, the number of mentally retarded children hasn't really changed.
That's right. So, so you'd think if you are pulling it from a different category that you follow well, we haven't seen those numbers decrease substantially either.
But we've got with us a doctor who specializes in autism and has personal experience
There
of it.
aren't very many.
Well, exactly, and I wanted to ask you, what is the reason for this disparity? Why is it that there seems to be almost a rift between the sort of pediatricians in general and those who are aware of autism and specialize in it?
Well, I think, this is an observation. The doctor probably can answer this better. He's been much closer to it. I think the vaccine issue has been a real setback, and it pitted parents against the government. And the government took a side of saying, you're wrong, and we don't want to talk about this. And I think medicine went with the government. And all of a sudden there was sort of we got into the Middle Ages of autism. It became a dark period, the 100 Years' War or something. And work didn't get done, things didn't get done to pick up on the epidemic nature of this. So while people were arguing about vaccines, an epidemic was growing. And, people down in the bowels of the CDC were probably going, oh my God, this is unbelievable. How could this happen? But, nobody was prepared at the highest levels of medicine, government, or science to say, wait a second, while you folks are arguing about this, we have an epidemic here. This has to get addressed. So I think it's an unfortunate issue. Two things have happened in parallel. And you can call it coincidence, you can call it, cause and effect. It's very hard. The increase in the number of vaccines in all countries, wherever they start, has dramatically increased in the last 20 years. And the age of people, age of children, they've gone from children to infants. So you've got most of these vaccines going to children under 2, and you've got tremendous number of vaccines, and they're administered in pods of dosages. So these two things, and all of a sudden autism is rampant. So you have these two things happening at the same time, coming together, and that has become a very, by itself, almost a subject of great debate. And you can see the parents saying, well, this happened then, and other doctors will say, well, that's when it happens. That's just a coincidence. And that issue has got to get resolved in a more scientific, evidence-based way, and we're going to try to support a lot of that research. It's actually too much for even us to bear. It really requires a lot of epidemiology. You really have to go after. There should be a class of '99 versus a class of 2004, class of 2006. So we're looking back at how how did these children develop? Period. It's stalled us. It hasn't helped.
Right. And Suzanne, in the US, many schools won't accept children unless they've been vaccinated, which is an interesting dilemma for parents because the number of vaccines has gone up hugely, isn't it? It's about 36 now, I think.
Yes, I think is it 36 now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing because so many parents will try to get out of vaccinating their children, which is terrible because we do believe in vaccination, but the responsibility of giving the vaccination has to be addressed again. I mean, meaning that the schedule.
We had a soundbite there as we went into the break from the Qatari ambassador, because Qatar has taken the lead in this. Now, I should point out, Qatar is where the headquarters of Al Jazeera is based.
Right. Yes.
But
I was at your headquarters.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, because I spoke to him because, again, it was strange for a country that where this kind of debate would perhaps never have been held is backing this. Now,
well, when her people at the Shafala Center saw my Ad Council awareness campaign here in the United States, which was amazing because the Ad Council is 65 years old. They've never taken on a single disease. They took me on, and they asked me to come over to Shafala because they needed to be part of this awareness campaign. And as a result of that, I went to the UN, I spoke at the UN, and we asked for a resolution, and Sheikh Amosa was my co-sponsor, along with 50 other countries.
Yeah, and the point I was getting at, which I want to put to Dr. Kartzinel as we sort of wrap up, is I guess it's a good sign you're being asked to go around the world and now increase the awareness of autism.
Not only increase the awareness of autism, but present a whole idea of therapeutic interventions, meaning that what's done is done. I'm not this anti-vaccine, pro-vaccine. If vaccines are hurting our children, then what we're doing is we're exchanging one epidemic for another. Right. And this autism epidemic doesn't go away. Okay,
so are you optimistic things will improve?
I think they have to. I think we have to. It's going to have to. We're at a boiling point. We have too many children who are injured right now.
When you have 1% of your society in a crippling, chronic, lifelong condition, you have to take action.
Right. Right. Well, I wish we could talk a little more about this, but Dr. Kartzinel, I want to thank you for joining us, Suzanne and Bob. Good luck with all your work, and thank you very much for being with us.
Autism speaks, and finally the world is listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On tomorrow's show, we mark the 40th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Reverend Jesse Jackson's our guest, and we'll see you next time.